From Scripps Sports, this is Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Griz Insider here on the Montana Television Network. Alongside the voice of the Grizz, Riley Corcoran, I'm Kyle Hansen, and it's officially playoff football for the Montana Grizzlies as they march on to the quarterfinals. And Riley, what a game that was at Washington Grizzly Stadium on Saturday, 50-29 over South Dakota State. We've been watching this team for a long time. We watched them lose to the Jackrabbits in the previous two playoffs, and it was fun to watch Montana kind of get that monkey off their back.
Absolutely. I think revenge was certainly a storyline throughout the course of the week, Kyle, but the Grizz put it all together. And I think that we have sat here each and every week wondering when that was going to happen. And of course, even in a loss, they had a really complete game against Montana State the last time they were on the field. But this time they put it all together. And what a fun day in the stadium. You had all the storylines coming in with, of course, South Dakota State being closer to healthy, everybody thinking that they were maybe going to come in and pull off the victory. More of a top 5 semifinal field that was disguised as a second round game. But from offense to defense to special teams, anywhere that we want to go, and we'll have fun doing it here in the next half hour. But the Grizzlies dominated. It was fun to see. They got the revenge, and now the bracket is opened up, as we will talk about plenty.
100%. Well, so you look at that first half, right? And it was interesting. Out of the gates, Montana gets the pick, but then they get stopped on the fourth down play. And then, of course, South Dakota State hits that home run 95-yarder 2 plays after that. And you're thinking, uh-oh, Jackrabbits woke up a little bit after that hot start from Montana. But as that first half was going, you could see the Grizz settle in, chip away. And then ultimately, when they took the lead, they were kind of rolling towards the end of the first half.
They were. And it was South Dakota State. They got the fortunate fourth down stop, right? And that 95-yard touchdown. You're wondering, all right, come on, time to settle in a bit. And then the Grizzlies did it. They were down 14-6, 30 unanswered points. And then, to me, you could tell early on that in the battle of the trenches, Montana was winning. And that was something that was very evident, I think, in the previous 2 meetings, that South Dakota State was elite on the offensive line, defensive line, to where Montana this year, they were pushing around SDSU, and the running lanes were opening up for Eli Gilman and everybody else early. That was a sign to see. And Keali'i Ah Yat was just phenomenal all game long. It'll be fun to talk with him later on in the show, Kyle, but my goodness, he was great as well. But you could just feel it. When the momentum got on Montana's side, South Dakota State was searching for answers. And this is a program, before their 4-game losing streak, they had won 47 out of their last 50 games. So they are not used to being in that type of situation. And it was interesting just to see Montana have all the momentum on their side.
100%. Well, then you look at, the playmakers coming up for the Grizzlies, too. The 3-headed offensive monster of Keali'i Ah Yat, Michael Wortham, and Eli Gilman showing up and doing their thing. But then, some ancillary pieces as well. Drew Deck with arguably the catch of the season on that touchdown. Blake Bohannon, Stevie Rocker. The offense was clicking all around. Malai Finoti getting in the end zone at the end. And on the defensive side, Solomon Tuliaupupu played unbelievable, out of his mind. TJ Roush, as we talked about, has been really hot the last month and a half, but it just felt like everybody was kind of coming together. And, they were down 14-6 and then scored 30 unanswered. And that, to me, was the story of the game.
It was. And I love that you got every single player. And it seemed like they had an individual performance, because Drew Deck's catch, what a career moment for somebody that's been in the program 6 years, 44 games, and to leap out, make that catch. By the way, check out Kyle's pictures online. That was pretty awesome. You had a perfect view of all of that, too. But they were spreading it around. And I think for Brent Pease, let's call it what it is, that was maybe one of the best games that we've seen anybody call. 81 plays for Montana. All of them were executed. I thought it was very fitting that the Grizzlies in that game passed single-season record for points in a season, single-season record for touchdowns in a season. It came against one of the best defenses in the FCS in the last decade. And, wow, everyone got involved. It was great to see.
And to piggyback off that, how about the Statue of Liberty play? Nice little throwback for some college football fans like us who saw the original one with Brent Pease, right?
Absolutely. Boise State, Oklahoma. And if you go back and look at it, it's eerie. It was the same spot on the field, same pylon that the running back went to and scored. From there, the celebration was on. A great fitting touch to a signature win.
Absolutely. A lot of fun to be had at Washington Grizzly Stadium as the Grizzlies move on to the quarterfinal round. Coming up after the break, Riley will catch up with head coach Bobby Hauck, and after that, Keali'i Ah Yat will join us on the Griz Insider. Stick with us.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
Welcome back to the Griz Insider. What a performance for the Montana Grizzlies as they dominate and blow out South Dakota State 50-29. Here to talk all about it, head coach Bobby Hauck, who had a smile on his face from the moment the clock hit 000, and afterwards it's been a fun time going over it, Coach. But just your initial thoughts on what you were so proud of from your team from that kind of performance, a complete win over South Dakota State.
Well, the first thing was we kind of beat up on a really good football team. South Dakota State has a great team. They've been at the top of the heap the last few years, you know, and to get after them the way we did, I was really proud of our guys.
And certainly behind closed doors, when the selection came out, of course, and the seed and your team, more than anything, Coach, just getting a bye week, right? Just the overall thoughts and what you liked most about what your team did behind closed doors to get ready and get focused for that kind of performance.
Well, they were locked in on the game, and the preparation was good, but that's kind of how this group has been. They prepare. Getting a couple days off after playing 12 straight was productive, I thought. But then when we looked at the bracket, and you look at them playing into us, it was like, goodness, this is one of the best teams in the country, and we're going to get them in our first playoff game. So I was very pleased with obviously the outcome, the effort level, the focus, the preparation, how the assistant coaches called it. I just thought it was great.
Well, Coach, you fall behind 14-6 early, right? You get down to the 1 yard line, stop. They have that long 95-yard touchdown. But when it was 14-6, from that moment on, 30 unanswered points, all domination. How were you guys able to flip the tide in that regard, and what was going so well when you just had that onslaught of 30 straight points?
Well, it was even going well early, even though we were down. You know, we got stopped on the 1 yard line. We missed a PAT. You know, just things that are uncharacteristic. We had a long touchdown pass and a post thrown into post defense. You know, it was just stuff that was not going to continue to happen, so we felt pretty good about it. And then when we got rolling on both sides of the ball and in the kicking game, they couldn't hold up.
No, they couldn't. It was all three phases for Montana. And want to focus on the offense. It was a historic day for the Grizzly offense, setting new program records in scoring as well as touchdowns in a season. And anywhere that you guys wanted to go, it seemed that you could do anything that you wanted. So just the overall offensive performance. Brent Pease called a great game, and all of your playmakers certainly had phenomenal performances.
Yeah, you know, it starts up front. They played well, and then when we can spread the ball around and you know, it goes all over the field, run and pass. It's difficult to stop. We generated a lot of first downs, so we got a lot of plays. Brent was able to get through his call sheet. The execution level was high, and you know, as you and I talked on the radio, all those great offenses over the years, and this one's at the top of the heap in terms of points scored.
And points scored, 2009 was the team that Montana did pass as they got that 50 on the board against South Dakota State. We're going to talk, of course, with the quarterback Keali'i Ah Yat and the development, obviously, from last year to this year, just to see him continue to flourish, a new career high in passing yards, completions in that game. And as you said, he distributed it around. Everyone felt the love on Saturday, and your quarterback is at the head of the snake.
Well, exactly, and he gets better and better the more you get better at football by playing it.
Yeah.
He keeps playing and making plays and learning and improving, and the sky's the limit for that kid. He's a lovable guy both personally and as a player.
Absolutely. How about the atmosphere, Coach? Playoff football in Missoula. I know the Washington Grizzlies Stadium, for both of us, one of our favorite places in the entire world. But just your thoughts on the setting, the scene. It's just nothing like it. It gives me goosebumps talking about it every time.
Yeah, you know, we have guys in our team that have not played in December before, and they were enthused about it. Everybody loves playoff football here. You know, it's interesting. That's our smallest crowd of the year always, and we got a big one this week, and I assume it'll be packed and ready to roll.
Well, the national spotlight this week, 1:30 on ABC against South Dakota, and it's time to make the entire state of South Dakota angry with the Montana Grizzlies, Coach.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
Just your initial thoughts. Obviously, South Dakota beat Mercer 47-0 this last week, a team that went through ups and downs throughout the course of the year. I know it's still early on in the week, but just your early look at South Dakota.
Well, that was an eye-opening result.
Yeah.
I did anticipate they would win. I did not anticipate they'd win 47-0 at Mercer. So, you know, we know the Missouri Valley teams very well. We know USD very well. This will be a tussle, and you know, like we have said, it's the black and blue division of this playoff format we've got right now, and this will be a test on Saturday.
Should be a fun week of build-up, getting ready for South Dakota and Montana. Coming up on the other side of the break, Kyle Hansen will have Keali'i Ah Yat here on the Griz Insider.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
welcome back into the Griz Insider, and we're very excited to be joined by sophomore quarterback Keali'i Ah Yat, who threw for 360 yards and 4 touchdowns against South Dakota State in the second round of the FCS playoffs. So Keali'i, as always, thank you so much for your time, for being here. And I just got to ask you, now that the dust has settled a little bit, getting that playoff win and then obviously getting a little bit of revenge on the Jackrabbits, just how's it feeling? And then just seeing you guys advance to the quarterfinal round now.
Yeah, it feels great. Going into that week, we knew the past, and we lost to them 2 years in a row. So we were focused all week, prepared good, so it was good to get that win.
For you guys, so such a hot start, right, with TJ getting that interception, but then obviously they get the stop on the 4th down on the goal line, but then it didn't really seem to rattle you guys. I guess, can you walk me through maybe that early adversity, but then just kind of chipping away from there? Because once it felt like you guys got rolling, they weren't able to stop you.
Yeah, I mean, we got stopped at the one, but that drive we drove pretty well, so we knew we could drive on them. We just had to keep going, take it play by play, and I think all of our guys did a good job of that.
In that first half, as you guys were chipping away, because you could see it, right? You could see moments where you guys were getting your way. That was the huge touchdown to Stevie Rocker, and then ultimately you get the other one late in the half that put you guys up 22-14. What were you guys seeing that you were maybe able to start taking advantage of them and then put points on the board?
It's just what we've seen on film all week. I think that came with our preparation. I think everybody on our team was well prepared. We executed well, and credit to Coach Pease. He dialed up a great game yesterday.
The second half just felt like it had to be fun for you guys. You think of Drew's touchdown catch, and then you think of the Statue of Liberty play, throwing it back a little bit for Coach Pease. Just what was that second half like as you guys really kind of blew it open and then just kind of left your mark and dominated?
Yeah, that second half was really fun. Just executing the plays that we really haven't ran all year. We always have that in our bag, and when Coach Pease calls those plays, it's fun to execute them.
I have to laugh because off camera you mentioned sometimes there's these huge highlight touchdowns and you don't actually see them, even though you're the one who threw them. You think of Corbin Hendricks' one-hander and now Drew's. Just what's it like for you, sometimes when you're just kind of listening to the crowd and then you see afterwards the highlight that your guys made?
I mean, I'm just super grateful for my receivers that I have, making plays like that for me, making me look good, because without them, we wouldn't have scored. So just credit to them, making fantastic catches, and credit to our O-line yesterday. They did a great job giving me time, keeping that pocket clean. So all of our guys did a great job yesterday.
You guys, really kind of cleaned house in the postseason awards. I think it was 18 individual all-conference awards. Michael Wortham got 2 of those. Just, when you saw your guys get honored, you were obviously named first team All-Big Sky, and then a bunch of your guys, whether it be on the line, your skills positions, also honored. Just what was that like for you guys as a unit to be recognized, but also as a team as well?
Yeah, it's cool to see all of my guys get honored, because I know how hard everybody works on our team. So to see them get their shine and get their acknowledgement from their peers, it's awesome to see.
The storyline this year for everybody really has been your progression as a starting quarterback, right? We've gotten to watch you develop as such a young player, leading this offense and leading this team. From your perspective, just, now that you're kind of sitting here in the playoffs and you've put so many games under your belt now as the full-time starter, just what's it been like for you, Keali'i? How have you seen yourself progress and develop, whether it be some early struggles or some early kinks you're kind of working through to now having your best game in the playoffs, which is what you want to have? I
think it's just learning from every experience that I have. If it's not a good one, just learn from it. Never not learn from it, I guess. So just learning from it, just keep working hard, keep trying to get better at my craft every day, and just keep working with my guys.
How have you had that ability, I guess, to learn from it, right? Because some guys might not do that, but it seems like you kind of take it in stride and move on and just kind of evolve each and every game. Have you always had that, or how have you maybe developed that trait at the college level?
I think it's just a mindset thing. You got to have a mindset to always try to find a way to get better at something, and I think that's credit to the coaches that we have on our team helping us with that. Coach Pease, Coach Hauck, they help me with that. They help our whole team with that. So credit to our coaches. They've been helping us put us in the position to win.
There's a lot of football left to be played still, but for you, kind of in this role, seeing the accolades, seeing the guys around you be celebrated, what's been the most special part of this sophomore year for you, Keali'i?
Just having fun with my guys. This season's been a lot of fun, and just it's a great group of guys. So I'm excited to have some more fun.
More playoff games to come. How do you guys kind of keep it rolling and keep this momentum rolling going now that there's 8 teams left in the playoff bracket and everything's wide open now with both Dakota State teams gone? Just how do you guys keep this rolling?
Just taking it week by week, 1 week season every week, preparing like we've been, taking it day by day, and just keep on rolling.
It's been a lot of fun to watch, no doubt about it. Well, congratulations on the season so far, and good luck this week against South Dakota.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Coming up, Riley will rejoin me as we preview the upcoming game against the Coyotes and take a look at the FCS playoff bracket.
Welcome back to Grizzly Insider, sponsored by Albertson Safeway.
And welcome back into the Griz Insider. Great stuff as always from Bobby Hauck and Keali'i Ah Yat as they recapped the second round win over South Dakota State, and now we look ahead to the quarterfinal game against the other South Dakota school in the Coyotes. It's going to be a lot of fun, Riley. We haven't seen these two programs match up since 2022. It was right here in Missoula. We're going to do it again. And, you know, South Dakota is kind of the reverse South Dakota State when you look at their schedule. They were a top 5 team coming into the season, really started flat, but boy, they have turned it on late, and they are hot right now.
You've got to give them a ton of credit for turning it around and righting the ship, because early on in the season, they start 0-2. They start 2-3, and you're thinking, they're not even close to being a top 5 team. It was a change of the guard at head coach. Longtime head coach Bob Nielsen retires in the offseason. And so you're wondering, can the Coyotes regain that form? And boy, have they. 5 straight wins, 8 of the last 9, and more in dominating fashion. And the only loss during that stretch, Kyle, to Illinois State, who all of a sudden, pretty good. Those are the 2 remaining Missouri Valley teams in the quarterfinals. Who would have thought that it would have been Illinois State and South Dakota? But you're right, they are red hot coming in here, and this is what quarterfinal football is all about, the best teams playing at the right time of the season.
And, you know, when you look at those results, the 2 arguably most eye-popping results were Illinois State beating North Dakota State, and then South Dakota hanging 47 on Mercer in a shutout. It's interesting, too, when you look at their offense, because they're kind of like Montana, high-scoring offense with a 3-headed attack on that offensive side of the ball. Aiden Bauman, veteran quarterback, been their starting quarterback for 3 years, led them to the semifinals a year ago against Montana State. L.J. Phillips Jr. might be one of the best running backs in the country as well. Throw at Eli Gilman there, too. And then receiver Lorenzo Fenner. Like, it's interesting. They're well-rounded on the offense, a little middle of the pack on defense, but it could be a shootout at Washington Grizzly.
And if you like offensive football, this is the game for you, because you've got the stars that are going to have the star spotlight on them. And boy, L.J. Phillips, he is somebody that has really jumped out to me and you as we've begun our prep this week. 1,800 rushing yards, 9 games with 100 yards or more. He's only gaining speed, it seems like, throughout the season. 300 rushing yards against Northern Colorado. So it'll be probably a game of which defense can provide the most resistance. But I think it all starts with Aiden Bauman. I think that was a big reason why everyone was so high on South Dakota coming into the year. I think the narrative was, of the top 5 teams in the preseason poll, the only one that had a returning starting quarterback was USD, and now they won't be afraid coming in here on the road inside Washington Grizzly Stadium. And this is a great matchup here for the quarterfinals.
Going to be a lot of fun to watch. You know, let's pivot to the FCS bracket as a whole. Only 8 teams remain, and we kind of hit on it. I mean, Illinois State beating North Dakota State in Fargo. I mean, it just, you could see the chatter on social media a little bit. Like, people don't realize how big that upset was and what that did. And for the first time since 2016, there's not going to be a Dakota State in the FCS National Championship game.
And for the first time since 2009, North Dakota State does not make the quarterfinal round. You're right, this might be the biggest upset in FCS playoff history, certainly in this second round, that it came that early and just an onslaught of points. It was 15 points for Illinois State in the final 3 minutes. Touchdown, sack, fumble, touchdown. They go for it and get the 2 points. So give credit to the Redbirds, because I don't think anybody gave them much of a chance. In Fargo, for those that maybe were looking at the upper echelon of the FCS, thought maybe the gap was closing a little bit from North Dakota State and everybody else, and that was proven. It's just fun, I think, for the FCS playoffs that, yeah, it's went through the Dakotas the last couple of years and maybe the last decade or so. This year it's going through the Montanas, and I think that the national spotlight, of course, as we've talked about throughout the course of the show, is very fitting. And certainly the main storyline, and also the Big Sky Conference. 3 of the remaining 8 teams, and they will host 3 of the 4 games this weekend.
3-0 for the Big Sky Conference. Couldn't ask for a better result there. Tarleton State, of course, getting the job done against North Dakota as they move on, as well as some of the top teams. We'll go ahead and wrap up the Griz Insider after this. Well, it's officially quarterfinal time in the FCS playoffs as the Montana Grizzlies get set to take on the South Dakota Coyotes. And Riley, going to be a big week for us. What do you got on deck?
Oh my goodness, it's all football this week, Kyle, right? Getting ready for the quarterfinal. And I love it from the national landscape, too, in college football, that there's not many games. There are only 5 college football games, and the Montana Grizzlies are going to take the national spotlight. Pretty darn cool to see. But we do have a coaches show up at the Den this week. I know fans were wondering last week that they want to celebrate a little bit. So we'll be up there on Wednesday, and you can catch the archived edition. Get a full hour from Coach Hauck, not only breaking down South Dakota State, but also getting ready for this South Dakota game. And we're fired up for Saturday. It's a week-long build-up to a quarterfinal matchup because, as we talked about all show, the possibilities are endless for this team.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch as the Grizzlies take on the Coyotes at 1:30 on a national spotlight on TV. And, of course, you can catch Riley on the Grizzly Radio Network for the call, and we'll break it all down here on the Griz Insider next week. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you next time.